So if I were to maybe summarize some of what we've talked about so far, and this is for a lot of you that might be joining here in the middle of the conversation, but we've talked about some of the trends we've talked about business adoption of AI and some more use cases of how companies and organizations are actually going to start using AI. And so, in other words, rather than us just sort of messing around with it on our own at home or even in our jobs, I think you're going to start to see organizations that are actually more formally and more deliberately finding ways that they start using AI more widespread, not just in individual use cases, but across the enterprise. So I think that's pretty exciting because there's so much innovation I think we'll see from organizations as a result of that increased adoption of AI. We also talked about the increase frenzy in cloud upgrades. So we talked about how the fact that organizations are going through so many cloud upgrades within a relatively short period of time. And it's also sort of a manufactured frenzy too. It's the industry creating this frenzy and this chaos around needing to upgrade from on-prem to cloud now. And it reminds me a lot of the Y2K. For those of you old enough to remember, in the late 90s, there was this frenzy around Y2K. Everyone was worried that the world was going to end because the way computers were programmed were 2-digit years. Any sort of timestamp would have a 2-digit year, and people were worried that once 1999 became 2000 and the 2-digit year goes from 99 to 00, everyone was worried that the systems would all break and the world would end and we wouldn't have power or banks or food or whatever. In hindsight, I think that was all manufactured as well. I mean, it was a real fear that was sort of a commonly known risk. And I don't remember a glitch at all. The moment we switched from 1999 to 2000, which would suggest that either everyone just did such a great job with their Y2K upgrade that there was absolutely no glitch, or it could be that the whole thing was a hoax and it really wasn't that big of a risk, but it was a great way for software vendors to force upgrades to new systems right at the end of the 90s. And that created that same sort of frenzy, same sort of increase in failures, same sort of profit margins for software vendors and technology consultants. They all did really well during that time. In fact, that's when I started my career, was in 1998. So I came in right at the peak Y2K frenzy, and I just assumed it was real. And that's, a whole nother story for another time. But looking back, I don't know if it's just because I'm older and more jaded now, but I feel like the whole thing was a bit overblown, and it sort of created this mass chaos to upgrade all at once. And you see the same thing happening now. It's not Y2K. It's you have to get off this old system because it's on-prem or we're going to stop supporting it.